Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake Podger. I am your host tonight for the AFC East Summit Show, joined by Dolphin Keith and Anthony, and maybe Chris. Maybe Chris. We don't know yet, but more to come after this. Well, ladies and gents, as of yesterday at 12 p.m. Eastern, the tampering period for free agency had begun. And here we are, how many hours later? 32 hours later. And madness is probably the proper term to use. We say frenzy. A lot of people use the term frenzy. But for the AFC East especially, I would say it's madness because we got guys going from, interdivisional rivals to other teams and within the division, and just a whole lot to unpack here. But I'm going to start off by just kind of getting your initial thoughts on free agency and get a feel for how you guys are feeling about your team's moves and if there's anything you want to see happen in the near future here. So I'm going to start with Anthony. Anthony, how are we feeling about how are we feeling about your Jets right now in free agency?
I mean, they haven't really done anything that I think was like wildly out of character for them. They signed a bunch of budget dudes. Yeah. They let, I think, their best pass rusher walk for free. But that was expected. That was telegraphed when they drafted McDaniel. Yeah. Anyway, when they drafted Will McDonald. Sorry, last year. And then they didn't re-sign Bryce Huff in the same offseason. I mean, last year was where are you going to re-sign him? It was, all right, we'll give him that deal. And he didn't re-sign him. The moment they went into the season, they didn't re-sign him. Immediately, I knew for a fact that not only was he unwilling to re-sign, but he was just going to walk. Because the fact that, they spent the first 4 weeks still not playing him. The first 4 weeks, he had, 15% of snaps. And then from there on out, 51, 52% of snaps. It almost seemed like a mea culpa. They realized he was good. About a year and a half too late. And he was never going to come back to a team that wasn't going to give him 50 or 60% of snaps. He wants, as an undrafted free agent, his motivation is not even this contract. It's the next contract. Mm-hmm. It's trying to get that Trey Hendrickson deal where, you ball out for 2 years, the team has to re-sign you and give you a real contract. Because you're an undrafted free agent. You had no bonus when you came in. You got peanuts for your first 3 years. Then you got your RFA tender, which is only $4 million. I mean, it's not like that was ever going to hold you over, especially in the NFL where, after tax brackets and agent fees and all that stuff, you're giving away 55, 60% of whatever you make. So
disgusting.
He's looking for not this contract, but the next contract. And if the Jets aren't going to set him up to get 12 or 15 sacks and look like that elite pass rusher, why bother?
Yeah.
Besides that, we grabbed the budget guard. We paying a kicker $4 million.
Legotron, let's go. Come on now. I wish I had Mike's soundboard. We could play it. Do an air horn or something.
Oh my God. I don't know. You've got all the signings, and I'm sure we'll go through.
Yeah, I'll pull them up.
How am I feeling? Fine.
Yeah. Is it what you expected, or is it basically right on par? Is it totally off?
Yeah, it's about what I'm expecting because the left tackle is going to be Bakhtiari. We already know that. He's an Aaron Rodgers guy.
Yeah.
The wide receiver that we're going to get in, that's the only thing that's surprising me right now. We haven't even attempted. We're not even in on maybe Ridley. We're not even in on any of the big time wide receivers that we could bring in. There's some talk of T. Higgins, but I don't even think T's that good. I think T's good, but I think he's a tier 2 type wide receiver that you're going to have to pay tier 1 money to get.
Sure.
So, I don't even know that that's really good money well spent. We have the guard. We bring in Bakhtiari, so we have left tackle until he gets hurt. And then, everything else is just depth guys. We brought in Javon Kinlaw to play Quentin Johnston's role. If there's one thing the Jets are good at, it's polishing the turd along the defensive line. Like, we can get them that 1 year deal that gets them paid for their next contract and just move on.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. You guys do a tremendous job there, definitely. Want to move on to Roy's comment here. Roy, almost your 60th. Big day coming up. 2 days away, baby. 2 days away. I think me and Mike got a little something planned for you tomorrow night, so stay tuned for our Wednesday show, Nickel City Rush Hour. That's going to be fun. But talking about a guy who knows a little bit about New York taxes, Anthony, I'm going to pivot to Keith real quick here. The latest news, Jordan Poyer going to his hated rival, the Miami Dolphins. How are we feeling about that move?
Well, that almost happened last offseason, and I was all for it. And then Poyer played this season and kind of showed his age a little bit. He looked slow. Yeah. He's looking all of 33, 34 years old. So I don't hate the signing because he's a smart veteran presence on the back end for the Dolphins. But it's not a move that necessarily moves the needle with me. I still think the Dolphins need another safety to offset the loss of Brandon Jones and Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah.
So this is, they signed Jordan Poyer and hopefully he'll be able to play some valuable snaps for them. But yeah, time for UFL football. Poyer is old. He's not.
He'll be 33 in April.
Yeah. So in football years, he's 95. Yeah. So the Dolphins still need another safety. They need another safety to spell Poyer. They still need another safety in case of injury. They shouldn't be done. They shouldn't say, okay, we have Jordan Poyer. Okay, we're done shopping for safety this offseason. The Dolphins just don't have the cap space to make big splashes. They lost Robert Hunt, huge deal to the Carolina Panthers. I think they overpaid a little bit. Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. I think they overpaid a little bit. Mm-hmm. But these are market level contracts that are being given out to these guys. So, I don't like seeing those guys go. I don't like seeing Brandon Jones go to the Broncos. I don't like seeing Raekwon Davis get signed elsewhere. I forget where he signed.
Yeah, I forget what that was. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't like see Andrew Van Ginkel go to the Vikings, especially because with the deal he signed with the Vikings, I felt like the Dolphins could have kept him. But I knew going in to this whole free agency process, this was going to be pain. This was not going to be fun for me to watch because I was going to be seeing a lot of fan favorite guys. A lot of guys that I really liked go to different teams. So, compensatory picks next year. Hooray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. You don't know where that's going to be, though, because we have firsthand experience with Tremaine Edmonds going to the Bears. What we thought was going to be a third-round compensatory somehow turned into 44 picks later, and now it's a fourth-round pick. So I don't know what to believe with all that stuff, Keith. But, yes, you should get a compensatory pick. It just might be a little bit later than you think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be, but compensatory picks, and the Dolphins need all the picks they can get right now. So right now they're signing. They're shopping in the bargain basement. They're shopping in the bargain bin. So, they brought in Jonnu Smith on a 2-year deal from the Falcons. He helped solidify a tight end for the Dolphins. Aaron Brewer, the Titans center. I looked at his size.
He's small.
That guy is 6'1", 271 pounds.
Yeah.
He's thick.
What's that?
He's thick.
Yeah. Even in the 70s.
A lot of heart, baby. I wish he was a Bill, but a lot of heart.
Even in the 70s, they would have said, man, he's a small center.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's great in the run, not so great against the pass. And what I wanted for the Dolphins was to kind of beef up that front line, especially right in front of Tua, so that centers aren't being pushed into his lap. So I like the signing. I don't love the signing. At one point, Sean in the Discord said, now the Dolphins are out on JPJ. They are most certainly not out on JPJ. Just because they signed Aaron Brewer, that doesn't mean the Dolphins aren't going to look for more interior linemen in the draft. So,
and he could play both guard and center, so he gives you that versatility.
So can Aaron Brewer. Brewer, getting right down to it. So, the Dolphins are not out on interior line. They're not out on JPJ. Not just yet.
Sheesh. Dude, Battlehawks coming at you strong here. Obviously, Battlehawks is a huge Bills fan, so of course he's going to chirp you a little bit here, Keith. But what do you make of this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys were in cap hell just like we were. I feel like the Bills, I don't know if the Bills handled their money a little bit better than you, but now I'm feeling a little bit better if I'm a Bills fan than a Dolphins fan. No offense.
There's none taken. And there's certainly criticism to be levied against the Dolphins for how they manage their money, for how they paid Bradley Chubb all that money, and Teron Armstead and Tyreek Hill. They have a very top-heavy roster. We've talked about this ad nauseum. They have a top-heavy roster and then not much in between, not much for depth. And this is something the Dolphins need to work on. And I think by not re-signing Christian Wilkins, by not re-signing Robert Hunt, they're starting to lean more into saying, okay, we can't be giving out these big contracts right now. We need to shop in the bargain bin and get some depth, acquire some draft picks. You know, there were talks that they could trade for L'Jarius Sneed, and it's like, have you learned nothing from the past few years? If you're going to trade for L'Jarius Sneed, you're just history's repeating itself, and you're just compounding this cap issue that you've created for yourself.
You're just kicking a can down the road.
Yeah, and the Dolphins are the AFC Panthers. I would argue right now the Dolphins are the AFC Saints, because the Saints are that bad with their cap right now. The Dolphins are in the same exact boat. We're actually $3 million under the cap right now, which is.
I was just going to say, so there are 3 teams that are still not cap compliant. The Saints are one of those teams. They're negative 202K. The Browns at minus 412, and the Chargers 25.4 million over right now. I don't know how.
Yeah, who are even how? Keenan Allen, and then what else?
I mean, they got some big contracts. You got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Keenan Allen, obviously Justin Herbert. Yeah, Mike Williams, that was a big contract too. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some others
from last year.
Yeah.
They were talks what's going to try and trade those guys. Like
Derwin James too, right? He got extended too, not too long ago. Yeah.
Who's that, Jake?
Derwin James was another. Another big contract
and
too.
He was worthy of an extension,
right?
But it's just
Chargers are going to charge her, man.
Yeah,
just crazy.
If you want to see a masterclass in how you manage the cap, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Mm-hmm. They paid A.J. Brown. They paid Jalen Hurts. They paid all these guys, and they still had money to go out and get Saquon Barkley and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Bryce Huff this offseason. You know,
they still got $40 million. How? Yeah. Crazy.
Howie Roseman could teach a masterclass in how you manage the cap. And, I mean, Chris Greer needs to, get this guy on the phone and teach him teach him his ways, teach him his tricks. But the Dolphins, I made my peace with the fact that the Dolphins are going to be losing a bunch of guys this offseason. So they bring in Jonnu Smith, Aaron Brewer, Shaq Barrett on a 1-year deal, Jordan Brooks from the Seahawks. Yep. He'll replace Jerome Baker, Anthony Walker from the Browns on a 1-year deal. They re-signed Nick Needham, re-signed Robert Jones, who they'll probably slot in as one of their starting guards. The Dolphins are going to regress. We talked about this last week. They are probably not big players in the AFC next year, but just because of a natural regression from losing all of these impact players. But they're starting to turn around, and they're starting to do this right, where they're trying to keep their picks and, acquire depth pieces, acquire guys that are going to be seeing meaningful minutes as the year goes on. Don't love what happened to the Dolphins roster, but I can't be too upset because
you were expecting this.
This is expected. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I want to go back to a couple of these comments too. So Jordan Poyer, I was almost expecting him to go sign with the New York Football Jets, Anthony. Apparently he's on an ayahuasca retreat right now with the future vice president of RFK. Got some thoughts about that. Obviously, Battlehawks coming in saying JFK Jr. No, RFK wants Aaron Rodgers to be his VP. True story. Anthony, I know you wanted to chime in on this one, so I gotta hear your thoughts.
The whole thing is, I gotta wonder. Aaron Rodgers has to be a leading contender, but from what I've heard, the other guy that's leading contender is Jesse the Mind Ventura.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think that we live in a universe that's good enough to give us that. Those vice presidential debates, between whoever Trump picks.
Dude, they would be elite though. That
Kamala
would be fun.
Harris and Jesse the Mind Ventura.
Yeah.
Epic. I get. We could even have vice presidential debates hosted by Pat McAfee.
Honestly, that would be that would be fun. We need that.
Anthony, I'm so jaded by politics right now. But I would tune in to watch something like that.
I would too. Absolutely. If McAfee was hosted, I'm watching no matter what.
I mean, vice presidential debates hosted by Pat McAfee on ESPN. Come on,
right?
We're all in for it.
Absolutely, man. I'm here for that. Definitely. Yeah. Had to bring that up. Battlehawks already got to it before us. I love it. It's hilarious to see.
This can't be real. And you know the worst part?
Yeah.
Woody Johnson was Donald Trump's ambassador to the UK.
Yes.
Really? I did not know that.
You'd have to assume he's very high in the list, even if RFK Jr. wins.
Yeah.
Especially if Aaron Rodgers is the assistant or is the VP.
Yeah.
He's already got like one foot in the door. The guy's paid him $50 million over the table.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Yeah, and again, I fully I agree with what you said too about Bakhtiari. He's definitely going to New York. There's no way he doesn't, right? I mean, it's set in stone. It was supposed to happen last year, but you're definitely going to be getting a new left tackle, whether you like it or not. So, if he can return to form, he was a dog, man. Like he was an all-pro left tackle. Like
how old is he now, though?
Player.
How old is David?
It's not even how old. How old are his knees?
Yeah, good point.
That's the problem. That's
the
problem.
I don't think he's played a full season in 4 years.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that is pretty
I'm not sure if he has.
Yeah,
he got re-signed, and I don't think he played another game for them. Or if he did, it was like 3.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then they just kept postponing his return. He's like, "Oh, maybe this week." Nope.
Yeah.
Push it back another week, and it just pretty rough. But got to talk about the Bills a little bit too here, guys. So we'll talk a little bit about the Pats as well. Unfortunately, I don't know if Chris is going to be joining us tonight. A little gun shy, a little nervous. He saw the free agency sign. He's going to be rolling with Jacoby Brissett as the starting quarterback for right now, at least. Which I don't totally hate that, but where are the Bills sitting cap wise? What's that?
Now it's a stopgap for Jacoby Brissett. We've talked about the Patriots maybe not going quarterback and going wide receiver in the draft this year. You could do worse than Jacoby Brissett. Definitely.
Jacoby proved himself multiple times to be a guy that could even lead his team or get him in contention to be a playoff team. So I like the move. It goes back to New England, and he's much more polished now as an actual passer, because when he was in New England during his first stint, he was mainly just like an option guy. He wasn't really like a normal quarterback at that point. So interesting move. He got signed for $8 million. The Bills right now, cap-wise, we are sitting at we have 1, 2. So we are 5th on the list, actually. 5th lowest, or 5th worst, I should say, on the list with our cap space. We are cap compliant. $863,000 right now the Bills have. So I anticipate there's going to be another potential extension occurring in the future here. I know Taron Johnson's been a rumor. So if we were to extend him, we would also save some money there. He's heading into his final year as a Bill, so I would love to lock up a guy like that, especially one of the best nickel corners in football. So that would solidify the cornerback room a little bit more too. So I would definitely hope that occurs. But I'm going to pull up some of these signings, guys. And actually, before we do, I got to talk about our little contest going on. So if you guys are so willing to join our Discord, we have a channel dedicated to big stitching, embroidery, and apparel. So it is a Buffalo-based company. My cousin actually owns the company. And if you go to their website, you'll see a bunch of different designs, mainly Buffalo designs, but he does all custom logo designs. So if you send him a logo of your choosing, he could then screen print that, embroider it, do whatever you want him to do. He could put it on a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, gloves, socks, you name it. I'm actually going to be getting a Nickel City Mafia quarter zip sent to me. I still got to get Mike his polo, so I'm on that as well. We do have some Nickel City Mafia merchandise that's going to be listed on the site too. So we have a pretty sweet contest for that, where you can win $100 to use towards the site if you just join our Discord channel and you just say something in that big stitching embroidery chat. We will be picking the winner on St. Patrick's Day, our Sunday night show. So stay tuned, and join that Discord. It's right in the description below. So, moving on to the actual signings of our teams here in the AFC East. So, I had to actually pull up NFL.com because there's just so much going on, guys. We said it. It's madness. It's a frenzy. Whatever you want to call it, it's bananas. And it's like every other minute there's a new signing or a trade or a release or something. This is the most active free agency period I've seen in quite some time. And I feel like I've been saying that every year, but this year really feels that way. So I'm going to start with my Buffalo Bills. They got it listed alphabetically, so why not? Nothing too crazy with what the Bills have done. They've had to, make some re-signings happen, but they have also had to get rid of a lot of players too in the process. So unfortunately, the Bills started off this offseason with like $40 million over the cap, and now they're down to $863K under, which is great. So in order to do that, we had to get rid of guys like Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, most likely not coming back. We had to release Trey White. So some of the biggest names and the biggest staples that have been with us throughout this whole playoff streak that the Bills have. So sad to see those guys go, but we did do some good things. We brought back Mitchell Trubisky as our backup quarterback. So safe to say Kyle Allen will not be returning as the Bills backup most likely. Do love that move. I think that's an upgrade at the backup quarterback position for us. Gives us a capable backup, and the contract isn't too bad. So absolutely love that. Yesterday, Deion Dawkins pulling one of the biggest troll moves I've ever seen. Guy says he's, basically done here in Buffalo. Says, sayonara, Buffalo. It was nice knowing you guys. Can I finally have ranch with my wings? And then, like, a minute later, says, you're crazy if you think I'm leaving Buffalo. And then the deal's announced that he re-signs, and he signs an extension, 3 years, $60.5 million, making him the fourth highest paid left tackle in football after coming off probably his best season as a pro. So I absolutely love that. Hopefully he will finish his career here in Buffalo because he is all Buffalo, baby. All Buffalo. David Edwards, really, really nice re-signing. We found out why we had to re-sign him too, because we did let go of Mitch Morse. So the thought is that David Edwards will be our new starting left guard, and Connor McGovern is going to move from left guard to center. So that's the plan there. The deal is actually for 2 years, $6 million total. So I thought it was a pretty good bargain deal considering how much guards are signing for right now, even backup guards. So thought we did a really nice job there. And it's interesting, guys, because the Bills have almost created this culture where players are cool with taking pay cuts. We've seen this with numerous players, guys like Dawson Knox, Von Miller, giving us more money to use towards these free agents and giving us some money to actually sign our draft class this year, which you just love to see. Now, obviously, I think, I don't judge any player that goes out and gets a big contract. Like, the NFL stands for not for long. So I totally get it. I respect them making that business decision, but it is kind of cool to see, like, these guys have, a footprint here in Buffalo and they want to stay here for the success and hopefully a Super Bowl next year, so cool to see. So yeah, AJ Epinesa re-signed on a bargain deal. By the way, guys, I don't think these numbers are totally correct here because I just saw a thing that came out and it said it's a 2-year, $12 million deal. Okay, so it does say worth up to $20 million. Yeah, there's some incentives in there that will essentially get him to that $20 million total, but he's got to meet those. But right now it's 2 years, $12 million with $10 million guaranteed. So absolutely love that for a young defensive end, a guy that hopefully will be our starting edge this year and get some more snap counts. I mean, definitely at least over 50% more than what he's been getting. Just love to see that. And then Daquan Jones, man. I mean, we got our big guy in the middle. That's fantastic. 2 years, $16 million deal. Awesome move there. That came after dark. Big baller being after dark. You just don't know what's going to happen there with the Bills. So fantastic move. He is a little bit older. Interesting on the numbers there, but I think the defensive tackle position is another position that's kind of inflated. So expected it to be a little bit higher than probably what the market value said on Spot Track. And then today we just agreed to terms with Nick Morrow, who's going to be a nice depth piece. Tackling machine, not great in coverage, but I would anticipate he will be the replacement for Tyrell Dodson. He's going to play some specials and maybe be a rotational guy in that defense. So had a decent year last year with Philly. Like I said, was a liability in coverage, but he was their defensive play caller. So not too bad. And he started some meaningful games with the Bears as well. And then Trek Reviewer, if you're out there, okay, we got your boy back. Cam Lewis, 2 years, $4 million. Are you kidding me? Best signing of the entire free agency period. I think we may name our show tomorrow. Cam Lewis is back. This is fun, man. This is fun. This is actually, he's listed as a cornerback, but this guy can also play safety. So I think technically right now, if you go to our lads, he may be listed as the starting or backup safety right now. But he's also kind of a nickel corner. So versatility there. Got to love it. And then, of course, Taylor Rapp. So we talked about, unfortunately, losing Micah Hyde most likely, and then Jordan Poyer going to the Dolphins. So the safety position, definitely a glaring need. We bring back a guy like Taylor Rapp. So I think you give him a full season as the starter. He's going to do some great things. He's going to return to form like he was in LA. And he'll be a 90 tackle, 4 interception guy for us. So really excited about that. Pretty solid deal. 3 years, like 13 million or something like that. So, or 3 years, 10 million, I want to say it was. So pretty solid. So I'm very happy with these moves. Again, nothing that is jumping off the page, but some necessary re-signings and setting us up well for this NFL draft. So good to see. I'm going to go to the chat here real quick. I'm going to catch up with some of these here. So let's see. I missed quite a bit here.
Chat is active tonight, man.
Oh, it is. And I'm always behind on it, no matter what. Yeah, definitely overpaying on Saquon Barkley. I agree. We could talk a little bit more about that as we go. RFK talking about him compared to Trump. Hilarious. If the Jets run the country, it'll be crazy. It'll be like New York City. Oh boy, here we go. We're going down a path I don't know I want to go down because we may start ruffling feathers. Chris shaking in his boots. Probably. Yeah, he still hasn't joined. I don't know what's going on, Chris, but we miss you, brother. We will be talking about your Patriots. Don't you worry. My Stallions won't have Zach Wilson. No. Haven't heard anything about Zach Wilson. Any news on that, Anthony?
Zach Wilson, there's nothing, but I have a couple of places that I think would be really good fits for him that he may end up in. Who knows, though?
Okay. What teams are those?
First one would be the Rams. I think the Rams are a really good fit for him. He'd sit behind Stafford for a year, possibly a little bit longer. As far as I know, he trains out in LA already. He lives, in Utah, but
West Coast guy.
All of his time, all of his Instagram stuff is out of LA. So that sort of fits. And he trains with John Beck, who's located in LA, I think, too.
BYU, former BYU quarterback and Miami Dolphin.
Yeah, I remember.
So, yeah, I think the Rams would be the perfect fit. I think another decent fit might be the 49ers, who are also located in California, not too far from where he trains. And a team that he could sit behind because they just lost Darnold to Minnesota, who for some ungodly reasons gave $10 million US dollary dues.
Yeah.
To play whatever they're expecting him to play there. He can't be there playing at quarterback. Like, come on. So, like, that would be a decent place. I think it's possible maybe Atlanta because they're going to need a backup behind Kirk, and Ritter is hot garbo. Where else? There's probably a couple other places that
I like those teams. KC, there you go.
KC was another one that I was thinking about too, because again, he would sit. We know that they have the quarterback whisperer there and quarterback Jesus Mahomes there, so it's a good place for him to go. But all of those places are options. I guess maybe even New Orleans might still be looking for a starter if they don't move on from Carr, or even if they do plan to move on from Carr, they don't have the draft capital to go get another one. Those are my top spot for him is the Rams, though. I think the Rams.
I like that. It makes too much sense, right? It really does. I mean, that would be a really good fit. Learning behind Matt Stafford, I mean, that would do him some wonders. And Sean McVay, too, learning that. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Roy's saying Jacoby Brissett will lead the Pats to a 6-win season. I think he got out a few more wins than that. They could be a 9-8 team with him at the helm. I'm just saying. Not saying they're like a playoff caliber team now that they have Jacoby, but definitely more stable than the Zappening.
I do think that they're probably – I think they're a 6-win season at best this year, honestly. I think they're going to go through some major growing pains. This team is so –
yeah, they're raw.
They're so bereft of talent right now. They need an infusion of talent, an infusion of young talent, and they haven't been nearly as active as I thought they were going to be in free agency.
With how much cap they have, right?
Yeah. You know, I thought they're going to make some more big splashes, and it was a lot of re-signing dudes and, you know, signing guys from the bargain bin, you know, like guys like Antonio Gibson to play running back. Jalen Reagor, they re-signed him. Hunter Henry, you know, just a lot of. I expected them to make some more splashes. And
that Kendrick Bourne contract was pretty insane considering he's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
He resigns for 3 years, $33 million.
It's fair.
I know the receiver market's inflated, but like, man, that's
honestly fair to wonder what the hell they're doing in New England right now. I don't.
You get the sense that they're like not going into this next year with the intention of like seriously competing. Like they know that this is going to be a multi-year rebuild with a new head coach and a general manager that I guess is finally going to be in charge of like actually drafting players. Like this is going to be a multi-year rebuild. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come down from 3 to somebody that actually wants to get Jaden Daniels, build up the offensive line, invest a lot of picks in defense to like, because we have a defensive head coach, and just try to like stay afloat with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I can see it. Chris is seething. Yes, probably. And yeah, how about that, guys? Mac Jones becomes maybe one of the best backup quarterbacks best backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. Goes to Jacksonville for a 6th-round pick. I think it's a win-win for both teams there. Obviously, they wanted to find a way to move him. But he'll be backing up Trevor Lawrence and serviceable, you know?
I did not have Jacksonville on my bingo card.
I didn't either. Did not expect that one. Definitely not. Yeah.
I mean, he went to Alabama, and that's in the South, and like Jacksonville does tend to hump the SEC players, but
yeah,
it's still a bit strange.
And speaking of Jacksonville,
I never have Jacksonville on my bingo card. You know, I
agree.
Until they pop up on with stuff like this, it's like, oh yeah, the Jaguars actually exist.
There's a football team in Jacksonville still.
Yeah,
they haven't moved yet. I could have sworn they went to like London.
They were in London for like 3 years now, right? I mean,
they're playing multiple games this year.
Are they? So they did last year too. They were 2 weeks in a row there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the Bills
kind of this year.
Man, I hate it. I'm just gonna say this too. I do not like the international series. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to spread awareness, as if the NFL needs it. It takes away a home game. Like we lost a home game last year because we were in London. I hate that.
It's also buku dollars too, Jake. I mean,
these
stadiums, these soccer stadiums, they're like twice the size of NFL stadiums.
Yeah,
they're filled to the brim with fans. They're just rabid for NFL football for whatever reason.
In England, they have this thing called safe standing. So like they have normal size stadiums that we have, but then they have like 3 rows of standing room only.
Wow.
So that's how they wind up getting like 110, 105,000 people into like what are essentially the same size stadiums as we have, but like they're a little bit more polite, maybe. I don't know.
Gotta be something like that, right? I don't know though. I've heard some stories about their soccer teams there. They literally have to separate the fan.
They're not nearly as ravenous for football. Like they're more polite for American football.
It's more of a party to them.
Cool. Every time, touchdown,
exactly.
Score, little golf clap. Yeah.
Well, you'll see guys at the Bills Jaguars game wearing, a Miami Dolphins jersey or an Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders jersey. It's not, this isn't Man U versus Liverpool here.
Right. Yeah. No riot gear there.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Mostly smiles on everyone's faces. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some more interesting news about Calvin Ridley being tied to New England. He wants to stay in Jacksonville. I guess New England has been making a push to try to sign him. Really curious to see where he does end up because I feel like that deal's not going to get done either. Anthony, would you take Calvin Ridley?
I would take Calvin Ridley. I think he is one of those very few always open wide receivers.
Yeah, he torched us last year. I mean, that would be a name for the Bills to even consider.
He had his best game here against you guys last year.
He had some drops, especially in the first half of the season, which sort of makes sense. He was almost 2 years off. But, like, second half of the season, that dude was dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
He was not on pace for 1,000 yards until, like, weeks. And he just sort of very steadily got there.
Yeah.
So I can see him coming to the Jets, but I just don't see the Jets actually making that splash, which is disappointing because we need a wide receiver too. We do. Like,
so
I know that Garrett Wilson's played a lot of games. But, like, every time that guy gets hit, I swear to God, he's never going to get up again. Yeah. Like, I've never seen somebody, like, sell a hit more than him. The dude could go to WWE and just take a Stone Cold Stunner, and I would think he died. That dude can sell a hit like anybody.
Anthony, I have to ask, what is the Jets' plan for wide receiver 2 this season? Because they need to have one. Draft?
Joe, what's your plan? I have no idea.
Okay.
Nobody's consulted me. I have no freaking clue. If it were up to me, they would actually have a plan, but it doesn't seem like they do. Like, you should go to Jets Twitter. If you're just bored, go to Jets Twitter.
Oh, I could only imagine.
It's glorious. It's like, Joe Douglas spotted at Burger King ordering a Whopper and fries.
Because you have cap space, right?
What's up?
You have cap space, right?
Plenty of it. We can make infinite cap space right now. I saw some like stat that like we can make up to $96 million in cap space.
Yeah. So I don't understand why you're not going after, I mean,
are there any more cast offs that we can get from New England or from Green Bay? Aaron Jones. We might be able to get Aaron Jones.
Well, no, we just signed with the Vikings.
So let's go.
He did. Yeah.
Oh, did he sign for the Vikings?
Yeah. You blink, you're gonna miss the signing. It's crazy, man. I know.
Yeah, I have no idea what our plan is for wide receiver. This is an incredible wide receiver draft, but it seems so foolhardy to assume that by the third round you're going to be able to day one starter, even in a class that's this good.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's always the case with wide receiver. You don't see a lot of wide receivers that are ready to step in and be impact players right away.
Not outside of day one. You can get them day one. Garrett Wilson was one. There were 3 of them last year in last year's class. There's the year before that, there were like 4 or 5 with Olave and Garrett Wilson and Drake London. And like, you can get them in the first round, but it's very rare that they step in from like late day 2. And the Jets' second pick is like 72 overall. It's like the top of the third round. Like, you can't expect that you can find a starter coming in immediately and can contribute. And Aaron Rodgers, that dude fucking hates everybody. Like, if they're a rookie and you drop one pass, you are literally ignored for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Christian Watson. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
I don't think they threw him until Jordan Love was the quarterback.
So do you move up and make a play for Rome Odunze?
What? Next year's picks?
Hey, I don't know. No, I don't know. Like, the Jets, my point is the Jets, and I know we're going to beat this horse to death, but the Jets need to have a plan for their wide receiver too. They can't roll out there with the wide receiver they had last year. Eric Wilson and the Pips. It's just they can't do this. They can't do it again.
I don't disagree. I mean, we had our wide receiver 2 last year was an undrafted free agent from that year. Wide receiver 3 was an undrafted free agent from that year. Like,
Jason Brownlee, is he technically your starter right now?
Jason Brownlee is one of potentially the starters. Like, we had Gibson, and he was playing. Gibson's a slot that was playing opposite Garrett Wilson on the outside.
Yeah,
we were running 2 tight end sets with Jeremy Ruckert and T.N. Conklin. And Conklin's fine. Conklin's a perfectly serviceable tight end. And if you're expecting that Garrett Wilson's going to get 120 or 130 targets, that makes sense to me. But you need somebody with that 90 target range.
Yeah.
You need in an NFL season. When I'm building out a roster, when I'm thinking about building out a roster, I'm in a sim league. Whenever I'm immediately in my head thinking, where are my rushing attempts going? And where are my targets going? In the course of a season, you're going to have about 550 to 600 targets. 130 of those targets, those are going to be going to Garrett Wilson. That's fine. Tyler Conklin's going to get you another 75 or 80 targets. That's the high end. It might be as low as 65. Where are all those targets going? You don't want Gibson getting more than 50.
Right.
Where are all these targets going? Breece Hall is going to be getting some targets. That's fair. He got 91 targets last year. Is that really what you want to do with 91 targets to a running back? I love the dude, but
you could do worse. You could do worse, Anthony.
Yeah, I don't totally mind that, but I know exactly where you're coming from with that. Yeah. I would definitely agree with what you're saying here. I mean, you guys got to get a true wide receiver too.
You do not. Wide receiver.
Anthony, you were talking about 550 to 600 targets. So the Dolphins are going to give like Tyreek 300 next year.
Targets. Between Tyreek and Waddle, you can actually expect that about 270 targets are going to go between those two. And
I was
270 of the best spent targets you can have.
Do you?
If another 100 of those is to running backs, that's fine because those first 270, those are going to the most efficient places you can possibly go. Those are going to guys that can take it to the house on any single one of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, do you see do you see maybe an uptick in Allen Lazard's targets now that Aaron Rodgers is back and him and Lazard have a history?
Yeah, but I was looking up Aaron Lazard's stats. His drops were just almost as bad with Aaron Rodgers as they were with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson throws a fastball and everything.
What's up? Allen Lazard sucks. He's terrible.
But his hands are garbage. They're not that much better. So if you're upping his target share, you're upping his target share to the detriment of everybody else on the team because dude just drops the ball. It's hard. He sucks so hard, and we're paying that through $11 million. Holy cow! Whoa.
Yeah, what do you do, man? What do you do? You got to figure something out.
We need a
I think at 72. At 72, you still could get a guy that can contribute because I feel like first round you're gonna have to go with the tackle, right? I mean,
yeah, no, it's gonna be Fuaga. It has to be Fuaga, and if it's not Fuaga,
right?
It's gonna be a Olu. But I mean,
right?
It's gonna be Fuaga. That's the least. You know what? It's probably not gonna be Fuaga. It's probably gonna be Byron Murphy because the Jets are just never gonna invest in offense.
But hey, generational D tackle
really
right
hard. At that
I don't know. I mean, Javon Kinlaw now. If they take another D tackle, man.
I mean,
I don't know, brother.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I thought they were gonna take an offensive tackle last year. Everybody did. That's why the Steelers traded up to get Jones.
Yeah,
right.
Because they're like, I'm just gonna get in front of the Jets, and then just we're gonna swerve you and take a 24-year-old pass rusher for a position that we already have.
It is wild. It is really wild.
But when the Steelers did trade up to take Broderick Jones, there really weren't any other first round worthy tackles.
I know. They took the last one. That's why they traded up for him. Yeah. To get in front of the Jets.
At what? What pick was that?
20.
I think it was 14, and it only was because we traded because we had the Aaron Rodgers deal that made us swap with the Packers. So it was Packers, Patriots, Jets. After
I was going to say the Pats traded with the Steelers to add insult to injury, which is
decided that it'd be hilarious if they traded up for the Steelers and let him get an offensive tackle.
One last reason to hate Bill Belichick. Right?
Oh man, he's rolling in his grave right now.
I'll be honest, Anthony. When Belichick did that, I had a good chuckle. That was
pretty good.
He did too.
Yeah,
he had that evil Darth Vader smile.
I love it. I will say this. I do miss watching the coaches' draft rooms when it was the COVID year.
The COVID one,
Bill Belichick and his dog was just sitting there on camera. That was hilarious. Love that. Unbelievable. How do you feel about Carl Lawson? This is a name that's been thrown around. I know Mike is a huge fan of him. That's a name that potentially, has been thrown around as a guy to come to the Bills. I don't know if we have the money to do so. Don't know if they have the money to do anything.
Carl Lawson has played 23 games in 3 seasons with the Jets. He has 7 sacks. You can have him.
Okay.
I
don't know if I want him now. I don't know if I want him.
I don't know if you either.
Honestly, I'll take him on the Dolphins because it's fair to wonder who's going to be rushing the passer for them.
Shaq Barrett, maybe.
Well, Shaq Barrett, definitely. And that's why they signed him. But, you got Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, who are both going to probably be on the PUP list to start the season. And Andrew Van Ginkel signed with the Vikings. Yep. Who exactly is going to be rushing the passer? Cameron Good? Who's going to be rushing the passer for the Dolphins? to start the season. So they need to bring in another guy. Carl Lawson they could do worse. So, if he wants to come here on a 1-year prove it deal, come on down. I'm down with it.
Yeah, I can see it. How about this, guys? I want to talk about this real quick, and then we'll talk about your signings, because I know, listen, we're going to do this, okay? We said 1 hour, okay? We're going to do this. Justin Fields doesn't seem to be generating any trade interests. What's going on there? You think the Bears just keep him now? Hold him off until, like, training camp, and then get some more value out of him that way? Or I'm confused by it.
I'm not sure what's going on with Justin Fields. I think more of Justin Fields than I think a lot of people do. So I think there's still a ton of potential there for him to turn into the game changer that the Bears thought they were getting when they drafted him. Call me overly optimistic for this kid, but I do think he still has that it factor. In fact, if I were the Bears, I wouldn't even be drafting Caleb Williams. I would be sticking with Justin Fields and drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. first overall. That's just me.
I'm right there with you, man.
So, what they're doing with Justin Fields, what the market is for Justin Fields. Look, there are quarterback needy teams, like the Falcons felt like a good fit for them. They signed Kirk Cousins. The Steelers felt like a good fit for Justin Fields. They signed Russell Wilson. So the quarterback needy teams are starting to become fewer and fewer, and nobody has been kicking the tires on Justin Fields. And I can't explain it. I don't understand it.
Is he going to be a backup this year?
He might be.
Yeah.
He might very well be a backup. And I think that's doing his massive potential a disservice, because with his legs alone, he's a top 32 quarterback in this league.
You can't tell me there's 32 guys better than him.
And if you put him with a quarterback coach who can play to his strengths and kind of harness that huge arm of his, you've got a monster in Justin Fields. You really do.
Anthony?
All right, I'm gonna go through a couple of reasons why he's got a lot less value than you think he does. Reason number one is he's got 1 year left on his contract. So if you sign Justin Fields, or if you trade for Justin Fields, say it costs you a 3rd round pick, and he is amazing, you get 1 cheap year of him, and you're paying him $45 or $50 million a year. We just watched Daniel Jones to a team.
Yep.
2, Justin Fields needs to be a backup, likely, because his mechanics are broken. Does he have a big arm? Yes. Can he hit a deep ball if he's given time? Yes. Does his drop back take about half a second longer than it needs to all the time? Yes. Justin Fields is desperate for a single offensive coordinator to let him sit for a while. Again, do you want to trade for that? Sure. As a backup, sure. As a starter, can you fix him in one offseason? Probably not. He's going to need probably an offseason and most of a season to fix a lot of the stuff that's wrong with him. He's not been given any favors by the Chicago Bears, who have had, 3 offensive coordinators in his 4 years?
Yeah.
That is not a recipe for success. He's had 3 of his 4 years absolutely horrendous offensive lines. And probably it wasn't until about half of last year, when they got Tevin Jenkins back, when they got Braxton Jones back, that offensive line even looked passable. And he was hurt for a chunk of that season. So I think that largely the league is looking at the contract problem, the fact that you only get 1 cheap year out of him, and that cheap year might be spent just fixing him. And 2, I don't think that the league views him as a viable starter immediately, because, again, he hasn't shown a mastery of any of the 3 offenses that he's been subjected to. The best thing that he ever did was, and it happened, I think, in his 2nd year, when he started running the ball more.
But that
was the best thing. But is that an offense?
The key word you just used, though, Anthony, is offense that he's been subjected to.
Yeah.
He's not working with the best and brightest of offensive coordinators.
Are we sure?
Yes, I'm sure. The Bears' offense has been.
Let's run through it. Let's see. Of his seasons as the starter or just as a quarterback with the Bears. Let's go through those OCs because probably not too many that are super
Luke
good.
Getsy just got a job about 5 seconds after they fired him.
That's true. That is true.
So,
I don't mind Luke Getsy. That wasn't bad. Who else do they have, though?
We talked about Zach Wilson earlier on in the show.
Bill Lazor, Mark Helfrich.
I don't like Bill Lazor. He was with Miami.
Bill Lazor,
he was not very good.
Yeah,
it was Bill Lazor and Luke Getsy, actually.
Yeah.
So he's had 2 offensive coordinators. I thought it was 3.
We talked about Zach Wilson earlier and how maybe the Rams would be a good spot for him. The Rams might be a good spot for Justin Fields. Working with a guy like Sean McVay, working under a guy like Matthew Stafford.
How about this one? Sorry to interrupt. I just had this is good truck reviewer. I love it.
Rodgers run for VP.
That's great. And no, I don't think.
They didn't pick it up last year, so he doesn't get it for next year.
No.
Yeah,
and so they were right not to pick it up, based on what we've seen. But I'm not the biggest fan of Caleb Williams coming out of USC, but I am a big fan of Justin Fields. I'm a big fan of how he carries himself. I'm a big fan of his competitiveness. And I'm not a big fan of what the Bears have done to Justin Fields with those bad.
I completely agree. They wasted his entire rookie contract.
Yes.
Mostly on horrendous football teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the time's up for them. My personal opinion is they should keep Justin Fields for this year. That's my belief. They should draft a quarterback and they should keep Justin Fields. Because
I can see that.
If Justin Fields looks great this year, you have the opportunity to either re-sign him, trade Caleb Williams. You'll still get a first-round pick back for Caleb Williams. People aren't going to sour on him because he sat on the bench for most of the year. Justin Fields has been hurt for a couple times, so it's he might come in at some point anyway. But they should keep Justin Fields for the year. If he looks fantastic, great. You can let him walk in free agency. You can franchise him and trade him. Somebody's going to give you something for him next year. This is the lowest value you're ever going to get for him. This is the definition of buy high, sell low. It's not going to get worse for the Bears. I just feel like they are at this point going to trade him. I do think that's the wrong decision, but for a slightly different reason than Keith.
That's fair. I like that.
Yeah.
I think you guys broke it down very well, both sides of it. I think I'm leaning more towards Keith, but Anthony makes some valid points, and I can see it. I can see the Bears just keeping him, and then hey, you still take your Caleb Williams,
and then you sit Caleb Williams for a while.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
Let the kid sit. Let Justin.
Don't
Fields
ruin him like you did Justin Fields. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we talked about this before too, where there are very few quarterbacks who wouldn't benefit from a year of just marinating on the bench.
Exactly. Learning behind the vet.
Yep.
For sure. Weston, want to say hello to you. Appreciate you joining us, sir. Just got done with a workout. Guy's absolutely crushing it. Pumping iron, as always. Love it. Nice. He says, as a Chiefs fan, it's nice to be kind of sitting around watching all these teams throw around some money. Just saw Pat Mahomes restructuring his contract, which is going to save them like $21 million or something like that. Yep. For you guys, because obviously after the big Chris Jones deal, some of those other deals that you worked with Drew Tranquil, bringing him back, and you guys want to be able to allot some of that money towards your draft class and maybe bringing in a guy like Marquise Brown, like you say here. That would be interesting.
That Patrick Mahomes deal is so cheaty. The fact that it's going to get him basically for the cheapest quarterback contract inside the next 5 years.
Wild.
It's unbelievable. It's so cheaty.
Yeah.
10-year deal.
Yep.
Me up.
Right? Absolutely crazy. Josh Allen kind of did something similar too. He restructured his contract, saved the Bills 16 point something million. His cap hit this year is only going to be 30 million as compared to the 54 million or whatever it would have been.
Well, people always make it seem like players are they're doing the team a favor, but when you restructure, you're just taking your You're taking your money that you'd be getting like as a salary and getting it as a bonus that you get today.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's like a cash advance.
Yeah.
It's like the sweetest thing ever. Players love it.
Definitely.
And we were talking about Jalen Hurts earlier. Jalen Hurts' cap hit for the Eagles is only like $8 million after that huge contract he signed.
Their contract is hilarious for him. I don't know if we ever could get Jason Fitzgerald from Over the Cap, but he broke it down on his podcast explaining it, and it's just it's just a bunch of roster bonuses that kick in. Like this is the base salary is nothing every year.
Just brilliant, man. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
Talk about earning your contract too, right? I mean, geez. How about this? I think the Dolphins should cut Hill and Tua and send wide receiver Waddle and Achane to Buffalo. Trucker Beer is just spitting out nonsense right now. But speaking of the Dolphins, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Rebuttal to that comment and then talk about your signings here because we got to get moving.
That's that comment. Sorry, Trucker Beer. That's not worth a rebuttal. You and I both know you're living in fantasy land with that one. Poyer to the Dolphins. I like the Jordan Brooks signing for the Dolphins. He's probably a little bit better than Jerome Baker, and he's certainly younger. And he'll be a good quarterback for that defense. Had some good years with Seattle. Had a few devastating injuries, which is probably why the Dolphins were able to get him for 3 years, $30 million. Because he tore his ACL, I believe, at the end of 2022, and then actually came back and played all 17 games in 2023, which is a testament to how hardworking and how tough that dude is. So, love the signing. Anthony Walker, he's going to be a solid backup special teams piece for the Dolphins. Re-signing Nick Needham. He's a guy who was coming off a torn ACL in his own right this season and never really looked like himself. Didn't really get on the field that much. Jordan Poyer, we talked about him. Again, these are a bunch of dudes that the Dolphins just kind of got from the bargain bin. The $5 DVD section at Walmart. This is where the Dolphins are shopping right now. And with their cap situation, that's basically their only option. So there's probably more to come for the Dolphins, but I wouldn't expect much. They lost all their big name guys, and they're going to be continuing to do these, 1 year, $5 million contracts. And it's going to go like that this offseason. That's all I can really say. I hope the Dolphins get somehow acquire more picks in the draft just to get more depth and get younger. That's what I'm hoping the Dolphins do. As far as which free agents I want them to sign, it's tough to say right now. There's so many needs. So it's tough to say. It's tough to see who's going to be willing to take one of these 1 or 2 year prove-it deals. So
yeah.
But look, guys, I told you I have to be out at 9. I do.
Hey.
So you guys finish strong without me.
We'll keep going, baby.
All right, Keith.
Appreciate you, Keith. Absolutely,
Have a
brother.
good night, guys.
You too, man. Beautiful. Hey, at least we did it for Keith, right? We were able to get him out of here at 9. Anthony, we'll continue this. I want to talk a little bit about the Deontay Johnson trade that happened. So trade him for Dante Jackson and a draft pick. He goes to Carolina because apparently there was rumors he was going to go to KC, but Pittsburgh did not want to trade him to a team that they're going to have to actually go through, unfortunately, to get to an AFC championship or a Super Bowl potentially in the future with Russ as he's cooking for them. So how are we feeling about that move? Deontay Johnson going to the Panthers, partnering up with Adam Thielen and Bryce Young.
Tell you a little bit about what the Pittsburgh Steelers think of the Panthers when they'll go ahead and not trade him to KC, but they'll trade him to Carolina.
They're like, if we play in the Super Bowl, which we won't, we'll play in the preseason.
I mean, it just shows you that the Panthers are no hopers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At least Pittsburgh thinks that.
Still laughing upon.
I think it's a decent move for Pittsburgh, but for the Panthers rather. And the truth is that team is so bad.
Yeah.
That I don't think Deontay Johnson's good, but I mean, it's something. It's better than like aging Thielen, who's like probably closer to retirement than he is to playing another 3 years.
For sure.
And then for Pittsburgh, they had a cheap quarterback.
Yeah,
whatever.
And they got Jonathan Mingo. They got guys that are coming up still.
I mean, I like Jonathan Mingo, like the
I don't
theory.
feel great about it still, but
the production.
The theory, exactly. Very well put.
So
yeah. Weston agrees. He still thinks Carolina will be a trash fire, and Patrick Queen, going to Pittsburgh, interdivisional rival. So that's definitely another move to keep an eye on. So I just saw a thing too. Obviously, Derrick Henry. Right? What's that?
That was interesting to me. Like,
I was surprised about that. If anything, maybe he follows Mike McDonald, goes to Seattle or something like that, or just resigns. But instead, he decides to go to Pittsburgh.
It worries me a little bit about whether or not they feel like Cole Holcomb's going to be able to come back, because he was playing very well for them.
Lights out.
Tore his ACL, and now they're bringing in Patrick Queen. Maybe that buries Cole Holcomb. Who knows?
How do the Steelers always have these really good linebackers, though? It's so insane to me. Like, you go at any point in their history, they always have at least one stud there. It's crazy to me.
And they played a 3-4 literally my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, since Dick LeBeau was their defensive coordinator. Like, played a 3-4.
Yep.
Like, it's wacky. That team is fantastic. Like, just the existence of them is great. I would like to see them get back to like the system that they had back in the day with a power running game and the big arm quarterback. Like, I'd like to see that return to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Instead, they got Russ, which I actually think was a good move for Russ. I mean, for them
too.
I mean, $1.5 million, and then you get to have this veteran quarterback kind of teach Kenny Pickett a little bit, if there's any saving grace for Kenny Pickett. I don't know if there is.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett's only a couple years younger than Russ these days, so who knows? But Russ throwing YOLO balls to George Pickens, like, sign me up for that.
Oh yeah, the moon ball. Maybe it'll be back, baby.
I hope so.
Didn't work in Denver so much, but he did have a pretty good year last year.
He was great last year. He was very good last year. That dude was a sneaky fantasy stud.
Yeah, he did some things, man.
Produced for most of the year.
Yeah. J-Tech, I don't. You know what? So I think there are obviously two sides of the coin on this. I am more on the side of understanding that a lot of these cuts had to happen, and it sucks, and it was hard to part ways with a lot of those guys like Trey White and Jordan Poyer, and Mitch Morse was probably the most surprising, and I didn't like that very much, especially because our offensive line just had his best season since maybe 2016 as a unit. And, you have to make some hard decisions. I do like the re-signings a lot. I mean, Daquan Jones is huge. Obviously, bringing back A.J. Epinesa, a younger defensive end. I know people are upset about Leonard Floyd, but you got to remember, Leonard Floyd was invisible the second half of the season. Didn't do anything. He had 1.5 sacks throughout the last 8 games of the regular season last year. So he didn't show out when he needed to. And he said it himself. He's going to follow the money. So you can't really hate on him for taking a bigger contract in San Fran. You weren't going to give that to him. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you might give him an $8 million contract. Instead, he gets $10 million or $12 million or whatever it was in San Fran. Still goes to a winning organization. So it's a win-win for him. So it is what it is. And the A.J. Epinesa deal actually was revealed to be 2 years, $12 million, up to $20 million with incentives. So I like that deal a lot. He's 26 years old. Give him a season as the starting defensive end. He had 6.5 sacks last year. So I don't mind it. And I think with what Brandon Beane has to work with, he's doing a fine job. Like, sure, you could take a little criticism here. He should have probably prepared better for these moments, because we don't really have the depth sitting behind these dudes, younger depth at least. So, right now we have 2 defensive tackles on contract, Daquan Jones and Eddie Oliver. That's it. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to go to the draft, probably get some cheap labor, because we have $863K in cap right now remaining. And we'll get 10 back once that Trey White release officially goes through after June 1st. But that'll be time to spend.
That's your rookie pool right there. That Trey White release, that's just your rookie pool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The thing is, sneaky part of this draft is that after wide receiver, interior offensive line is very deep. It is. Find a center, usually in the 3rd round, is a good sweet spot to grab them. Wide receiver is going to be available. They'll be plentiful even into the 2nd round if you don't hit it in the 1st, which I think you should. So like you can paper over a lot of holes in this draft. So I'm not too worried about some of the positions that you need.
Yeah, I'm not either. And like right now, Connor McGovern's going to be playing center. That's what they're saying. He's going to switch over to center. David Edwards is going to be the left guard. We could take that compensatory pick we got from the Bears. That's a 4th rounder, and get a guy like Bo Limmer, a guy like Hunter Norzad out of Penn State, Drake Nugent out of Michigan, all capable guys, Big Ten guys too. Which I mean, I've always been high in Big Ten guys. I always feel like they do super well in the NFL just because their technique is so damn good, and they play in a pro style offense. So
you can grab. I mean, there's the dude from Wisconsin, Taylor Borderini.
Yep.
He's going to be available around there. You've got the dude from Miami, Matt Lee, the center, just had like a 9 RAS score, very athletic, very quick, very useful. There's another guard from center that I like a lot. I forget his name off the top of my head. I was scouting him the other day. That dude was calling out blocking protections as a guard.
Love that.
Which is something I absolutely adored.
Have it up here, baby.
I'm saying. So, like, this is a sneaky strength for this draft right now. Like, this draft is crazy deep at every position. I think maybe except safety. And I think you can do a lot worse than starting first-year guard, first-year center, as you learned with Torrance last year.
Yeah, certainly. J-Tech also asking, what are the Bills going to do about safety and wide receivers? So, this would be one of my wishes, I guess, for free agency. Personally, the safety draft class, as you mentioned, Anthony, is not very strong. Yeah. I'm not opposed to taking a guy in like the 4th or 5th round, but even taking a guy in the 2nd or 3rd, even like Cam Kinchins, I'm not super high on. So to me, I feel like if you want to get a legitimate starting safety, you got to go to free agency. We don't really have the funds to do so, but my buddy did have an idea of how we could potentially get Justin Simmons. So obviously it would include extending Taron Johnson, moving that money to like a signing bonus and then getting some money back, and then signing Justin Simmons to a Philadelphia Eagles type deal where you'd pay him low in the base and then you make it more incentive based up to, $20 million, up to 2 years, $20 million, whatever it may be. He's going to want some money. I mean, the guy is he's 30 years old. He's up there in age. It'll probably be a 2 to 3 year deal, but there are ways where you can kind of manipulate that and allow him to still make that money and come to a contender, which he hasn't been on during his entire career, really. I mean, he's smart. He just had his career high in interceptions 2 years ago in 12 games. He had 6 interceptions this year, even so. 70 tackles, 3 picks, still a playmaker for the Broncos, even at age 30. And he's got the veteran leadership, man, like knowing where to be on the field and still being a ball hawk. I think it's all important. And to me, it's like getting Micah Hyde from 2-3 years ago. So it would be a decent move.
I'm more concerned for you guys at cornerback, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's position I'm a little bit more worried for you.
So I think a guy like Cam Hart, taking him as like a nickel corner, if we do indeed decide to move on from Taron Johnson, which would be wild to me, but take him as a backup, and he can also potentially convert to safety too. I like guys like that. I like Kalen King as well out of Penn State. I don't think I want to take a corner in the top 3 rounds, but maybe in round 4 onwards, just because we do such a good job developing those dudes.
Did you guys bring back Russell Douglas?
Yes. So that was big. We were able to restructure him, and I think it saved us $2.5 million. And I know there are talks of also extending him on top of that. So that's huge. And we have Christian Benford as well, he's a solid corner. He's done some good things.
Well for you guys. He stepped up big time last.
Yeah. Yep. So no, actually, I'm okay with corner. Obviously, there are still concerns about like Khair Elam, Dane Jackson, probably not going to return. I would anticipate him resigning if that was the case, and he hasn't done so. So, I wonder what they're going to do with Khair. I don't know if they're going to convert him to safety or if they're going to try to trade him away or if they keep him. Now, I do think the bringing in Jamil Adai as our new DBs coach is huge because he's super well at coaching up these corners that don't necessarily fit that zone scheme. Guys that are man corners that he helps actually coach into more of a zone corner. So maybe with him, he did it at Georgia. He did it at some big schools while he was coaching in college. So hopefully it'll translate to the NFL.
For sure.
Yeah. But let's talk about these Patriots signings real quick.
Yeah, let's do the Patriots real quick. They'll be
whatever everyone wants to talk about. Yeah, they'll be real fast. Don't worry. Chris, if you're out there, we're doing our due diligence here, but we're not going to go crazy on it. I think the most important thing you see, bringing back some offensive linemen here, Chuck Wuma Okorafor is from the Steelers, actually, but re-signing Michael Onwenu, who's one of their better offensive linemen. Not going to say he's great. May have even overpaid for him, but unfortunately that's what tackles are getting this day and age. So
that's what teams do. They have to sign bad teams have to sign players for whatever they can get for. And this team is bad.
Yeah, they are. Antonio Gibson at running back. That's interesting.
Hunter Henry gets 27.
That's insane to me. I mean, his production has not been near what anyone thought it would be in New England. So that's wild. Kyle Duggar, I do like that, the transition tag there. I think that's a good keep for them.
But I don't know the Gibson deal. Brissett seems like a necessity. Kendrick Bourne, 3-year, $19 million. That's pretty cheap, but he is coming off an injury. Like Jalen Reagor, you're still in the NFL.
I know. That's crazy, dude. Crazy. Yep.
I don't know. There's not much to talk about here.
Yeah. How about Tyrone Wheatley Jr.? By the way, from Buffalo. He played, not really from Buffalo, but he did play high school football here for Canisius High School. Then he commits to Michigan and ended up going to Stony Brook, I think, for a year.
Really?
Found his way in the NFL. Yeah, he was a tight end convert. And actually, he's bounced around a little bit. He may found a spot here in New England. So cool to see. Tyrone Wheatley, baby.
Yeah, there's not much to say. It's not built to compete. I doubt they're even going to try much this year, and they probably shouldn't.
Right. Now, do you think they go Drake May if he's there at 3?
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would be smart enough to realize that they're not a quarterback away. This is a very good draft for them to stock up on picks. It's a great draft to go ahead and get some value from maybe 10 or 12. I could see the Minnesota Vikings giving up a lot to potentially go get one of the quarterbacks. If that's Drake May or even if that's Jaden Daniels, both of those two would make sense for the Vikings. I think a friend of mine's a Vikings fan. He said they tried their absolute best to trade up last year, and they just got rebuffed over and over again. So
really?
it appears to me like that they're, with Kirk going, they're in position to trade up, go ahead and get a quarterback, pay Jefferson whatever it takes, and go from there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And if you're the Patriots, you trade down to what? I guess they're at like 12 or something like that, and you get whatever offensive tackles on the board. And just that's
probably the right play, honestly. Yeah. You take Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, sure, you got Jacoby Brissett throwing him the football, but like, is that an elite offensive attack? No, you got to have guys protecting.
Yeah, you need guys, and you need draft picks. You need so many players, Like at this point, you should consider even trading Stevenson. If somebody give you a 4th round pick for Stevenson, just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I mean, you got Antonio Gibson. They traded what's his name away to the Browns. Pierre
Strong.
Pierre Strong. Thank you.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of his name for a second there. They do still have though. My gosh, I'm drawing blanks here.
Zeke.
They do still have Zeke. He was on a 2-year deal, I believe. So they do still have Zeke, and then they have Kevin Harris out of South Carolina. So interesting backfield there. Antonio Gibson, Zeke, and
somebody could do anything for Stevenson. Just take it. Just as many picks as you can in this draft, as many shots at the dartboard as you can. Just you don't have to be good this
year. Yeah. This is definitely it's a multiple year rebuild, probably, like you guys were saying. I definitely agree with what you guys were hinting at there.
Yeah.
All right, Ant. Most important team here for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All 4 signings. Which one do you want me to start with?
Let's start with Tyrod, baby. Hey, he's done the whole entire New York mile here.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor has been in every team that is located in New York, the tri-state area. Yep. So we have Tyrod Taylor. That is an excellent backup option. The dude just wins games. He's been in the league forever. He hasn't been allowed to be a starter since, I guess, the Chargers when his rib got broken and Herbert came in. Like, he's fine. He's good. You guys in Buffalo know who he is. I mean, he ran that offense with Greg Roman and what's his name? Rex Ryan. You had that. You destroyed our playoff hopes when we were 10-6, the last game of the season.
That's right.
Like 2015, was it?
You guys had B. Marsh and Eric Decker and Fitzy.
Yeah, Fitzmagic season. Like, that was our last good shot at a playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that. So, yeah, we got Tyrod Taylor. Fantastic. He's a backup quarterback. I couldn't be any more excited about that.
What do you think of that? Those numbers? 2 years, 18 mil?
Yeah, whatever. It's a backup quarterback. He gets $18 million. Like, that's what they go for now. Just ask Sam Darnold.
True.
So John Simpson played for the Rams last year, maybe the year before. Kind of a journeyman offensive guard, but still only 26 years old. A lot of experience. Apparently, he's a strong run blocker, but not good at it. So he's a powerful one. I can't say as I've watched tape on him, so I can't really give you my honest opinion about him. But like, we needed a guard to replace Laken Tomlinson, who we just cut. I think 2 years, $18 million. That's exactly the money that it cost that we saved by cutting what's the name, Laken Tomlinson. So that literally point for point replaced that contract. And Oliver's just a dude. He's going to be a depth corner replacing Bryce Hall, who's leaving us for free agency, and good for him. And Greg Zuerlein. It embarrasses me that we're paying a kicker $4 million, but like, this is what happens when you have a defensive head coach who thinks 3 points matter.
I could love it, man. Legotron, come on now, put some respect on his name.
No problem. Like, Legotron's fine. Like, he's a stable enough kicker, but like, the idea that you have to pay a kicker anything and you can't just like replace him is so weird to me. It is wild. The best kicker in the NFL hits kicks at like 93%. The worst kicker in the NFL kicks him at like 83%. You're talking about a 10-point swing on like maybe 25 field goals over the course of the season. The best kicker in the league gets you like 2 more made field goals than the worst.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. When you look at kicker stats, like you go back a decade ago, I feel like that's sort of when it sort of started with this huge uptick in accuracy.
Yes.
Because like mid 2000s, I mean, even kickers, it's crazy, man. Like, you could really sign just about any kicker, and they should be at least 80%. And if they're not, they're not playing in the NFL.
Exactly. You can just rotate them, and it doesn't even matter. But you get fan bases that are like, we just need to get a good kicker, man. We gotta lock up the kicking position. Like, at least we go, like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. There's the Justin Tuckers. There's the Adam Vinatieri's. There's the special kickers that have played in the NFL over the course of history. But, man, they are a dime a dozen. I know kickers are people, too. And this pains me to say because I'm a big special teams guy. I love talking specials. But, man, I understand where you're coming from here. It's tough.
Yeah. So,
but you guys still
that's it. That's all we got. We can still make – This is literally nothing.
$24 million. Still have $24 million to use.
And we could make more if we wanted.
So what do you want to do? If you're the GM right now, what are you doing?
What I'm doing right now is I'm waiting and waiting and waiting until free agency period, because I'm trying desperately to make that Bryce Huff thing turn into a 4th-round compensatory pick.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all. Like,
I like it.
There's nothing. This team is Aaron Rodgers wins us the Super Bowl in 2 years, or we're blowing it up anyway. So restructure whoever you want, do whatever you need to do. We don't have a quarterback plan after him. We probably don't even have a head coach if this doesn't work. So, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What we do in free agency only matters if Aaron Rodgers wins us the Super Bowl. Do I think we maximize that by like spending $1 trillion on a guard? Probably not. We need a wide receiver too. I don't know who that's going to be. Damn sure better not be Randall Cobb again. That's all I know. It damn sure better not be Randall Cobb.
Bring back Cobb. Bring back Cobb.
Maybe we trade for Devontae. Who knows?
That would be wild.
They're not going to do it. They are. By the way, we didn't even talk to Keith about the Raiders signing Christian Wilkins.
I know. Christian Wilkins, what a massive deal that guy struck. Holy smokes. Josh Allen, my dad made a great comment earlier. He's like, Josh Allen's love life is going to be impacted in a better way because we know Christian Wilkins is a little notorious for grabbing some nut sacks at the bottom of the pile. Now, Pat Mahomes is going to have to deal with that. So,
he does.
Good riddance.
But I don't think he has to deal with it much. Could you imagine being Christian Wilkins, getting that huge contract, but going to a team that's going to win 4 games next year? Like, what a
no faith in it.
Who's their quarterback right now? Their quarterback is still Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah. So Justin Fields, that was maybe the one remaining team that would make the move, I feel like, to go trade for a guy like that. And it'll probably blow up in their face just because it's the Raiders. And that's what always happens. So, yeah. God, Tale's old as time, man. Tale's old as time.
Death taxes and the Raiders make a terrible free agent signing.
Yeah, and I'm really rooting for Antonio Pierce because I like the guy a lot. You know, he's got some moxie. He's got that team fired up. Love what he said in his first press conference talking about practice squad players being on the sideline. He's like, they're part of the team too, aren't they? Had him dress and everything too. I mean, I love that.
I met him.
Love what the guy's about. Did you? How was he?
Yeah, I was in college and Antonio Pierce, like they were having like this Madden like tournament or whatever. In back then it was in the Sam Goodies or whatever. Back when they used to have record stores that had like video games and stuff. Anyway, they were doing like a Madden competition and I was playing in it and like whoever like when you finished you get a picture with Antonio Pierce.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That was a very long time ago when he was still playing. Man, that dude had
now was he
his head's
is
huge.
This Redskins? Yeah. Oh,
no,
head
this was still Giants. I was living in New York.
Okay.
I was living in Brooklyn back then.
Sweet, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Antonio, man. Yeah, there's some interesting history with him. You know, people get on him about the whole Plexico Burris thing because he like hid the gun or whatever in that situation. He talked about that. Yeah, that was the big thing with him. Like,
he had the wherewithal to give Antonio Pierce the gun.
Yeah. Crazy. Yep. Mm-hmm.
How do you know this story? You know everything. You have the most in football knowledge I've ever met. It's phenomenal.
It's disgusting. Honestly, my wife gets on me all the time. She's like, man, if you could just put your brain to anything else. And I'm like, I can't. I just don't want to. This is where I want to be. And I'm going to stay in this bubble for the rest of my life. So you get what you pay for. Sorry. That's great. I am me. I am who I am. Weston, bro, the Texans really scare me. Yeah. They end up going and getting Danielle Hunter, which is pretty intense. I mean,
and they traded for Joe Mixon.
Yeah, they just got Joe Mixon. Upgrade from Devin Singletary. As good as Devin Singletary is, and as good as he was last year, I think they did better by getting Joe Mixon there. You have a legitimate 1,000-yard back, and Danielle Hunter, man, paired with Will Anderson on the other side, like that is.
That is kind of terrible. That is kind of terrifying. It's got to be the
and it's funny because did Jonathan Greenard? Yeah, Jonathan Greenard. I think he signed with the Vikings too, so it was kind of like a swap almost.
Baltimore gets Derrick Henry. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
One more up, two more up.
There you go.
Yes. How is Derrick Henry still getting paid?
Yeah, $8 million a year too. Wow.
It's a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
it's not a real 2 year. The running backs, Zach Moss.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that Zach Moss is their plan A. It has to be Chase Brown, who they drafted last year. Looked very explosive towards the end of the season. Looked very good. Has a lot of juice in him. Zach Moss can do a little bit of pounding between the tackles, but Chase Brown is a home run hitter. To me, that seems like a very, very smart, savvy move from a team that knows they are very close to the cap and knows that they need to compete. Don't spend too much on a running back.
And that Zach Moss deal is what I expected most of these top-tier running backs to be getting, to be honest. But instead, they're cashing checks. Saquon goes to the Eagles, which I know you wanted to talk about this. Let's scroll down. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let's get to the NFC East. We'll talk about this deal. 3 years, $37.75 million. What?
Are you kidding me?
Man.
Are you
this
kidding
guy
me?
is injury prone and at his best, he's great. But my God, 3 year, $37.75 million.
I mean, do you really need to have that offensive line? Do you really need to spend that? They just taught the whole world that you can get by with like a DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. Yep.
The whole world. Like, what did Swift? Swift was phenomenal for them. It was like 5.3 yards per carry or something crazy like that last year.
Yeah.
You don't need Saquon. You're doing just fine. You can just get by with anybody when you invest that much in the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, Landon Dickerson. That's a lot of money for a kicker or for a guard, but like, I'm fine with it. I am all good with that investment on a guard, especially knowing Kelsey's off the books.
Yeah.
That frees up, I think he was making 16 or 17 million. That frees up 16 or 17 million. Go ahead and give it to Landon Dickerson. Fine.
And by the way, Robert Hunt just got paid. What was his deal?
Robert
Hunt, 5 years, $100 million, something like that? That's crazy. And Landon Dickerson's a better guard than he is.
He is, most certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Graham, fine to bring him back for a year. Bryce Huff, excellent signing, especially if the rumors are true and they are considering or they're looking to trade Hassan Reddick. They get a younger Hassan Reddick. Yeah. Basically the same size, the exact same skill set. Snap right off the snap, super fast. Bryce Huff, very young, goes to a contender immediately. Guarantee you his Madden rating will go up at least 5 points before game day starts.
I love it.
Simply because I'm New York Jets.
I mean, I can't argue that. I think that does probably happen for sure.
Most certainly. Him and Mekhi Becton both, I'm positive.
Oh, yeah. Now, where's Mekhi Becton? What's going to happen there? Where's he going to end up?
He's going to go to a team that has an offensive line coach that knows what to do. That's what's going to happen.
I wouldn't mind him coming to Buffalo, honestly.
I mean, there are rumors about the Titans because now they have Bill Callahan. If there's anybody that can develop an offensive tackle, it's Bill Callahan.
Yep.
I think a very good fit for him would be the Bengals because Joe Burrow can get rid of the ball very quickly. He works very well in systems, or they have an established quarterback and head coach and culture that is a culture of winning. I think the Chiefs could use a player like that needs a head coach that's not going to tear him down. That's going to look to build him up. That's the kind of system he's looking for. A place that can treat him as though he is not a pariah. And that's very much what Robert Saleh did to him. They pariahed him.
Yep.
From the moment that Robert Saleh got there, he was very negative towards Mekhi Becton. And that's just what it's been with the Jets. I've been a huge fan of him. I think the dude, I think his second year he came in and he probably was a bit overweight. I think he got hurt because they signed a terrible guard, Greg Van Roten, who fell over into Mekhi Becton's knee and his knee exploded. I don't think it was because he was too fat. I think his knee exploded. Then the next year, the whole media just pounded on him for being fat and out of shape and how awful he was. And he came back and got hurt again because he got the wrong surgery. Okay, that happens. Then he comes back his third year and he is in peak phenomenal shape. And this past year, his fourth year, he stayed healthy for 16 of the 17 games. And he was the only steady player, despite the fact that they, day one, told him he played right tackle. Then they moved him to left tackle as soon as Dwayne Brown was hurt. Then they have Lakin Tomlinson to the right of him at left guard, just missing blocks, blowing assignments left and right. You had the Tony Romo game on Monday night where Tony Romo, or maybe it was Sunday night, where Tony Romo was like, "Oh my God, Mekhi Becton sucks," but like the protection was called that Mekhi Becton has to block to the right, and Lakin Tomlinson blocks to the left, so it looks like Becton has nobody to block. Like it's just. A series of unfortunate events. Yeah, and at the end of the day, Becton deserves to be in a place where he will be built up and not torn down. Just respected, as a human being.
Yes. A place where he's respected and a place where he can actually grow into the player that he should have been in New York.
Exactly. Yeah, I will not be surprised if he's successful somewhere. I think he's also, I don't know if he's from Texas or he has some ties to Texas, so do not be terribly shocked if he ends up down with the Cowboys.
Ooh, speaking of Cowboys, what have they done? I mean, have they? I think they re-signed their long snapper, and that was it. I mean, you look at them on here; they're pretty much non-factors.
If I'm not mistaken, they've got, because they haven't redone Dak and they refuse to redo Dak. Dak is like at 59 on the cap.
Whew. Yikes!
I think he's got something like 59 million on the cap.
I don't
think they can do a whole lot.
So right now they have 8.8 million to work with, and Dak, his base salary this year is 29.
And his cap hit
is 59.45. Holy shit! You weren't kidding, man. Wow.
They're not going to restructure it. They don't want to add void years on because that's just going to kick the can down the road. And if he's not going to play nice and give them a decent contract, he's going to hit free agency next year.
Oh yeah,
he's going to be the best quarterback to hit free agency since Kirk Cousins.
Yep, he'll get paid.
Yeah, he will. Somebody's going to come out for him, but then the Cowboys are out of quarterback.
Yeah. Jeez, man, holy cow! I didn't realize it was that much.
I'm saying, and they don't want to pay him too much. They paid him too much last time.
Man, yeah. This is why. I mean, this has been. If you have a chance, just anyone watching, just go to Spot Track and check out Dak Prescott's contract right now. It is
59 million. That's what he cost them.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't have much to work with. 8 million. That's your rookie pool.
Yeah, it sure is. That's it. I mean, damn, I love it. You know what, though? Of all positions, hey, it all starts with a snap, baby. Trent Sieg, welcome back, baby. I love that. Weston, I've had front row seats for like 5 to 6 years watching the Raiders just make dumpster fire decision. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's just been countless, and you would know better than anyone. Yeah.
They cannot be cheap seats either, by the way. Not in Vegas.
Right?
Very expensive seats.
How about this one, Trek Reviewer? The Jets bring Al Toon out of retirement.
I mean, if he can still run a decent dig route and he can catch it,
he's a stud.
We'll take Wayne Corbett back.
Ooh,
I mean, Keyshawn Johnson looks a little bit heavy, so maybe not him. Maybe he can block.
Jericho Cotchery.
Brandon Marshall still looks healthy.
Brandon Marshall.
He wants to come back. We'll bring him.
Right.
Terrell Owens still looks fantastic.
Yeah, he thinks he could still play. He was playing in that fan-controlled football league. Got a couple touchdowns in that. It was kind of cool to watch.
I mean, I think
it's
he can
weird.
Still play too.
Yeah.
He is such a freak of nature. He keeps himself in such peak condition.
It's unbelievable, man. Like, he's still just rocking a freaking 8-pack. Just, he looks better than half these NFL guys, NFL receivers.
Shannon Sharp still looks that good, too.
Yeah.
Some of these guys really take care of themselves.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Who would have known that Madden would outlast record stores? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the product of Madden, I'm not a fan of. No, I loved it from like the early days up until about 2008. That's when they lost me. It just now it's all the online like transactions, the microtransactions. It's just sad, man. That's why I still play ESPN NFL 2K5, the greatest football game known to man.
Do you mod it so that you can get new rosters every year?
I have 2K24. It's amazing. I actually should consider streaming it to our channel. I think people will get a kick out of that.
Why don't we do that? Let's do that.
You know,
you show me how to set it up, and we'll do that.
Yeah, We should definitely do that. That'd be cool, man.
That would be great content. I'd be down for
Absolutely. Yeah. People, and I mean, not a lot of people do it either on YouTube. Like, I've seen a couple videos of people streaming it, but it's not a super popular thing. So we could have our own little niche there, you know? I mean,
I'd be down.
Why not?
100%.
Do a couple Bills Jets matchups. What? That'd be pretty cool. You know?
That wouldn't be that much fun.
Yeah. Jake, do you like sci-fi? I dabble. It's not my go-to. I'm more of a comedy guy, but I'll watch anything. And responding back to my comment from before, talking about me just putting all my mind into football instead of anything else. I come with the ring. That's right. Since he re-signed Cody Ford, I did see that. That was an interesting movie. Actually, had a decent year though last year.
Yeah.
Please, we had enough talk about rings and Dan Mitchell's. You guys were in Dan Mitchell's stream early. They do the other show there. They do the AFC East Roundtable. We did not get an invite to that show. They did come and Dan did comment on our one show, and he said imagery is the purest form of flattery. So appreciate you, Dan. I did invite him onto our show, and he was not about it. I don't think he didn't respond back. So maybe we can make it work in the future. I don't know.
Be honest
Nothing but love, though.
Keep up with us. That's the thing. We're actually about football. I don't know that everybody's about that life.
Agreed, Anthony. Agreed. Listen, all love to those guys though too. TD Finns, really cool dude. I know he's I think he's collabed with Sean before. Cool guy from that show. Big fan there. What else do we got? Just catching up on all this. I apologize, guys. I am the worst with chat. I just go, and then I'll lose it. So I got to go back and I'm going to highlight all of these. And AFC North is going to be an absolute gauntlet. Yes, it definitely will be.
It always is. Yep. Disaster playing any of those teams.
And Anthony's a huge Jets fan. Yeah, no. The Pats fan, Chris, hasn't been on the last few shows. We're going to get him back. I promise you. I don't know where he went tonight, but I know he's just itching to get back on camera. We're going to have him host maybe next show just to get him back into the mix of things, you know? Got to make it happen. And we do know about Greg Van Roten. Yes, he was with the Bills for a hot second.
Oh, yeah. No, it's one of those, like, every interior offensive lineman has to play for at least 3 of the 4 teams.
It's so weird, man. I don't get it.
Like that. It's so inbred. This division is so inbred. It's been my whole life. Like, I just remember guys leaving. You guys got the Patriots got Sean Ellis after he was done with the Jets. Like, that dude was a Jets legend.
Yeah.
Like, he had to play with one. Darrell Revis.
Darrell Revis, yeah. Yep, I was just going to say. Yeah. Another name that comes to mind ended up going to the Falcons, actually playing better with the Falcons, but John Abraham. He was a stud, man.
He was a stud.
Cardinals.
The fact that they moved on from him is one of the more embarrassing things that's ever happened in the Jets franchise. Just like they traded him for no reason.
Right.
When Herm Edwards took over, like they traded him and then drafted like Brian Thomas at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Still a 9.99 RAS guy. But like, how about an edge rusher that can't rush the passer? Wouldn't that be cool? Ended up being a good run stuffer.
Didn't he get a big contract? Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was a 4-3 end, and then Rex Ryan, because we did this ridiculous thing where like we had Bill Parcells set up a perfect 3-4 system. Absolutely everything worked well for 3-4 system. And then immediately Herm Edwards. They bring in Herm Edwards after a couple of years of Parcells guys. Because the Tampa 2 was so popular, and then that's what the NFL is doing now. So they bring him in. They try to move Sean Ellis to a 3-tech, which he couldn't do. He went from 8 sacks a year as a 5-tech, which back 20 years ago was unfreaking real. If you had a 3-tech that could get, or a 5-tech that could get like 2 or 3 sacks, that'd be amazing. He was averaging 8 a year as a 5-tech. They move him into 3. Sean Ellis on the outside. Sean Ellis still feasted because that's what Sean Ellis do.
Yeah.
And then they move Sean Ellis for a pick. They let James Ferrier walk in free agency because he didn't fit the system. They use a first-round pick immediately on the dude from Miami. Amazing middle linebacker.
Jonathan Vilma.
Jonathan Vilma.
Yep.
They rock with Herm for a couple of more years. Then move Herm, bring in Mangini, back to a 3-4, move Jonathan Vilma for absolutely nothing.
To the
who
Saints.
Goes on to have a borderline Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
We now don't have any linebackers at all, don't have any rushers at all. Rex Ryan comes in, stuffs Brian Thomas as a run stuffer, which is perfectly fine. But like, we use a first-round pick on a super athlete that couldn't rush the pass. Like, that broke my heart.
It's crazy,
man. This is the worst of worst memory lanes that were going on. We used a first-round pick during the Herm Edwards era on a defensive tackle that was like, that we knew when we drafted him, like a 4th overall pick, that was going to fall apart.
Yep. It's unfortunate. A lot of tough memories to bring up, but I love reminiscing on these players. This is firing me up. It's really getting the juices flowing. I need to go to like Sporkle after this, start doing some quizzes. Guys, I just did a quiz. I did one on our channel, actually. Definitely check that out. There's a really good video with that. So it's on our NFL miscellaneous playlist. You can find it there. But basically just naming all the players. I think I got 100% on 3 of them. But there was one I did the other day, and it was like every receiver to record at least 20 receptions or something with their team between the years of 2000 to 2009. And I was at like 98%. And there was like 2 guys I missed. Yeah. It's fun, man. It's fun. I love this stuff. I really do. But yeah, just bringing those names up. Oh, Donnie Abraham. There's a name for you.
Yeah.
Tampa too. Talking Tampa. He came from Tampa, right? Donnie Abraham.
I don't know if he came from Tampa, but he played so well for KC. He had like 4 interceptions a year for a good chunk of his career. Like almost every year, just death taxes and Donnie Abraham with a bunch of interceptions at a middle linebacker.
Yes. Who else do you guys have? There's got to be some other names out there that I'm missing.
I mean, we've drafted so many defensive tackles in my lifetime. Like, and there's just generations of them, just waves of them. From the Muhammad Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson, Quentin Coppols days, and after that Leonard Williams, and after that Quinnen Williams, and it's just it's almost like an epoch. We have the Leonard Williams epoch. We have the Muhammad Wilkerson epoch.
That is
great. That's how we mark eras in the Jets.
I freaking love it.
We draft this time,
and they're always studs. They're always good.
Some of them.
Yeah. Some of them.
There's the one that I'm thinking of that the Jets drafted in like 2000 and whatever 5 or something like that.
Yeah, who was this?
He had a degenerative knee career or degenerative knee injury when we drafted him. We knew he wouldn't play more than 4 years, but we had to use a top 5 overall pick on him.
Yes. Ohio State?
I think Kentucky.
Okay.
Give me a second. Now I'm actually going to have to look it up, aren't I? I think it's Dwayne something.
It's like a shorter name, maybe.
205.
Started with a V.
That's rosters, draftees.
It was like V. Why can't I think of it now? Chandler, you're gonna have to help me out on this one. It starts with a V, right?
It starts with a D. It's like Dwayne something. I'm actually just looking at New York Jets draft history.
Oh, what am I thinking of then? Thinking of it was like 2005. I want to say it was that year.
I do believe it was 2005. It was something like that. I'm closing in on it now because it was Dwayne Robertson.
Oh, Dwayne Robertson. Okay, so that was like 03.
Yeah, it was actually 03. I was wrong on that.
Yeah, no, it was Dwayne Robertson.
We draft Dwayne Robertson with the 4th overall pick in the draft. Yes. He ended up with 16 sacks, played 92 total games in his entire NFL career.
Oh, that is great.
Top 5 overall pick.
Man. By the way, I was thinking of Vernon Golston.
Vernon Golston. He was a bust from a different era.
Ohio State. That's why I said Ohio State. Yeah, Vernon Golston.
Yeah, that's
another
a
bust.
different
GN.
epoch.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different Jets era. That was the
like
Mangini epoch when we were trying to build that team. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Rex Ryan converted him to 3-4 defensive end for about 15 and a half minutes.
Yeah, I believe
before he gave up on him, and then he went off to, I think it was the Denver Broncos for a season.
Yeah, he was with I think it was the Bears, might have been the Broncos too in there, the Rams. Cousins with William Golston. That's kind of cool.
He is cousins, and I think William did his absolute best to try to like distance himself.
Yeah.
Apparently the dude was like a legendary, like not a bodybuilder, but like amateur bodybuilder.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's the whole thing. He didn't really like football, supposedly. He loved what football did for his body and the lifting. That's why he was such an absolute specimen. Same era, I think, as David Boston, another legendary physique.
Oh, wow. Dude.
A wide receiver.
And then he got addicted to steroids, and then he had some serious issues. Yeah.
Laron Landry, too. I mean, these guys.
My gosh. Another Jet, too, right there for you.
Yes, he was. Laron and his brother, Duan.
Yes.
Both played for the Jets.
Wow.
At slightly different times. They didn't play at the same time, though.
Dude, this is the ideal type of, like, night that I would love to have. Like, just sitting around with, I mean, ideally, you have a couple of beers with you, too. You just sit around with a bunch of guys. You just reminisce on some old
This
players.
is what we need to do on Draft Man. We need to have a draft podcast. It needs to be me, you, whoever else, and we just shoot it.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And we just reminisce on draft history. Oh, to go back real quick, Dallas should trade for Fields. You know what? It's a real shame that Mac Jones went to Jacksonville already, because Dallas does already have Trey Lance. And if they traded for Justin Fields and got Mac and got Zach Wilson, they would have like the Thanos power ring of crappy football quarterbacks from 2020 or 2019, 2020, something like that. They'd be unstoppable at that point, right?
Oh, they would. They would. Definitely.
The Thanos power gauntlet of crappy quarterbacks from the same draft.
I freaking love it, man. That would be incredible. They need to make that happen now. They really do. Like that. Yes. Yeah, Matt Ariza, new punter for the Kansas City Chiefs. How about that? Tommy Townsend signing with the Texans. Wow.
Isn't he a punter or a kicker? No, he's punter, you're right.
He's a punter. Yep.
Yeah, I can't believe he's back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Another great name, John McCargo. Huge bust for the Bills. Yeah, that's a tough one, too. That's a tough one. North Carolina State, 25th overall in like 2006. Yeah.
Wow.
Tough times. Anyways, guys, we've gone for an hour and 46 minutes. I believe my wife was just calling me, so it's time for me to go. I'm sorry I have to end this, but it was fun. Anthony, thank you as always, man. This was a great show. Again, check out the ticker below there, Big Stitching Embroidery. We are going to be doing a big $100 giveaway to Big Stitching Embroidery. Giving that away on our Sunday night show. Just join our Discord in the description below. You can enter in through going to the Big Stitching Embroidery channel. Say something on there, and then you're entered in to win. So, as always, guys, appreciate you for joining. Like, comment, subscribe. Leave some comments, too, while you're at it. Any free agents that you're interested in re-signing or signing or bringing back for the Bills, Jets, Patriots, etc. Dolphins.
Also, make sure to comment your favorite Jets defensive tackle over the last 23 years.
There we go. Favorite Jets D tackle over the last 23 years and favorite Bills safety over the last, we'll say 23 years as well. But anyways, guys, have a great night. Go Bills. Anthony.
Shut up.
Take care, guys. Thanks again for having us, and always a pleasure. Go Bills.